Welcome to GTT Live, Episode 5. Huffing spent ammo is bad, okay? As always, I'm Rich, your fat, bearded host, and my co-host is OmniFox. Say hi, Omni.
Howdy. I actually took the time to change into a not fancy shirt.
If you want to follow along with the conversation or interact with us, use the Q&A app in the bottom left-hand corner of your YouTube screen. Use hashtag GTT Live on Twitter. Are you rocking the IRC right now, dude?
I am, but I do need the YouTube linko.
Yeah, I'm sending it to you right now.
All right. So, the main subject of our show tonight is not huffing spent shells. This is one of those things that you wouldn't.
You know, I wanted to wait a little while to kind of ease into the gun at thread of the week, but it's just too fucking. Oh, and as always, this is an uncensored show, so if strong language bothers you, then you really have no business here. Anyway, I wanted to, because in the past episodes we've waited a little while to kind of ease into the gun at thread of the week, something to, as a teaser, but this is just too fucking good to wait.
I think if we open up now with it, and we'll be able to reference it throughout the show as our own little meme.
Yeah, we could do that. So the gun thread of the week winner was a thread called "Can the excessive inhalation of gunpowder cause nosebleeds?" The original poster deleted his account, so we can't make fun of him by name. But the text, it's two sentences. No, I've been getting nosebleeds lately, and I think it's cause I keep smelling a spent shell that I fired. I like the smell a lot. I want to read that in the voice of Forrest Gump. I'm reading that in the voice of Forrest Gump in my head. So, of course, Darth says that the first response is, "Are you stupid?"
You would think.
I mean, what the shit, man?
You would think that somebody might possibly think it was a bad idea to huff, stuff that goes bang in the gun. Well, it's really the leftovers now. So, and then there's also the fact that the mercury in the primer is now exposed and aerosolized and now going in the feller's nose. Mercury and heavy metals are bad. Okay, you might want to avoid those inside your mucous membranes.
Eddie Martinez says the dude is probably into brown. I'm not sure what that means.
It's a reference to a movie. Brown. You've never.
What movie?
What's it? Oh fuck. Nick Cage movie. With the AK openings. Lord of War. There we go.
Oh, okay, yeah. Speaking of movies, hey, real quick. So today I was watching, because I literally have nothing to do all day right now except play World of Warcraft and watch Netflix, and I was watching a movie called Killing Them Softly. Have you seen it? It's got Brad Pitt and it's got a pretty decent ensemble cast in it, and I know this fucking movie is filmed on the East Coast just because of the accents. It never says what city it's in, but it takes place. It has to be like someplace like fucking Jersey or something. Regardless, there's one scene, a very stylized. The movie's a film noir, very kind of dark and broody. Think like Sin City, everything kind of washed out and sepia. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Anyway, no, I get it.
There's one scene where one of the main characters, played by Brad Pitt, is shooting one of the other sort of kind of main characters from one car to another, and it's a mob hit. And I was looking, and the whole scene is filmed in super slow motion, very super high def slow mo, and I'm watching these spent shells eject from this prop gun, and they are so obviously blanks. You know, the little star shaped, the little opened up pedal blanks.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, now that really pisses me off because even non-gun people are going to recognize that for what it is. But the I don't understand why. You know, I kind of wish Mike was here right now because I'd ask him. I said, you know, and he wouldn't have an answer. But you know, why the fuck wouldn't they CGI that shit out? You know, it's so painfully obvious.
They don't give a shit. So I just sat down and rewatched what was it? Generation Kill, and you can see in the saw scenes
totally
tons of restricted barrels, and you know he was totally right in the fact that now you'll sit and watch guns and see this shit. Like I was watching the first episode of Blacklist for this season, and all I saw was, you know, she's sitting there at the low ready with her Glock 26 or Glock 19. It keeps fluctuating. She must have like 15 different Glocks. But who doesn't? Anyways, all I saw was the shiny silver of the broken down to defeat
the locking lug. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was fucking hilarious because that's all I'm paying attention to now.
I hate that show.
Blacklist?
Yeah, I watched the first episode of the first season, and I just...
There's a lot of teacupping, but it's actually a pretty good show.
Well, it's not even about the teacupping. It's just kind of a silly show. I don't know. I just couldn't get into it. James Spader is great. Don't get me wrong, but
Spader makes the entire show. If you get past the
Spader is one of those Brat Pack actors that fucking came into his own finally, and his kind of humor suits him at his current age, which is my age. So, you know, his kind of humor and the way he is wasn't. It just came off as creepy and, you know, douche canoe when he was in his teens and early 20s playing, you know, doing stuff like Pretty in Pink and shit like that. But you know, at his middle age, he's coming to his own, and it certainly suits him. But I just can't get into that show.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm liking it. I'm going along those lines with.
You know what you should see?
What?
Peaky Blinders.
Okay, I'll write that down.
It's a BBC show, filmed in England, but Netflix has the North American distribution rights, so it's streaming on Netflix right now. The entire first season is, and it's set in the early 1900s.
Netflix, except it's been on BBC for years.
Well, no, it's only one season. They just got into their second season. Anyway, it's about there's a lot of really cool gunplay, and it's set in Birmingham, England, right after World War I, and it's a pretty kick-ass show. Anyway.
Cool. Back to what James said. I know there isn't mercury in it anymore, but it's just heavy. There's still heavy metals used in the production of.
Yeah, we're back on the original topic, guys. So,
yeah.
In case you're having trouble following us right now,
I'm just addressing the Q&A coming up of primers and not having mercury anymore.
Hey, don't get me wrong. I'm the kind of guy that goes into my store in the morning and runs a mag of 22 through, you know, my little Walther P22
to give your store a scent.
Yes. So I totally get that. I love the smell of cordite and spent gunpowder. I totally get that. But
there's no cordite in guns anymore.
I know.
Somebody's going to say it.
Somebody's going to say in IRC. But you know, I totally get that. It's a good smell. Okay, you know, I'm the type of guy who will leave a bottle of the old classic Hoppies open on on
Well,
a workbench.
that's just classy.
Okay, maybe dab a little behind my ear before a fancy date, but
I don't have any.
I think
spent
this guy
shells like that.
honestly, I think this guy was fucking trolling the whole way, but
Maybe, maybe not.
it's really kind of hard to tell.
I'm looking. I actually don't have any spent shells, and I was just going to stick one in my nose for the duration of the show, and maybe I'll understand his need to snort. But you got to think that there. Yeah, we talk about how gun owners are smart, responsible people, but you got to remember we're still a wide swath of the population, and with that cross section, we're going to end up with the crowd of differently abled folks. I'm not saying just idiots, but I'm really saying idiots are in every walk of life, including gun ownership. It kind of
Sure.
So you're going to end up with the idiot. Down in Oregon today, this gentleman was relieved of his open carry pistol that he just bought at 2 a.m. walking down the street, and an urban gentleman asked him for $5, and then pulled his gun out and said, "I like that gun. I'm going to take it." Do you want to know what that gun was?
High
It's
Point.
the gun you use every morning to season your shop.
Oh, a Walther P22. He was open carrying a P22.
Yes, and so now the conversation comes up of he did not have, obviously, a good holster retaining that, because I highly doubt the gentleman who just bought the P22 has a Kydex holster or anything with any sort of retention other than maybe Uncle Mike's. So we get all walks of life here. And tonight is brought to you by Shitty Beer. Budweiser and Clamato. I was at the Mexican grocery store today.
Is this the same place you went and got the burritos from hell?
That ginormous fucking burrito, bigger than my head. Yes. Today I had a different one that was the lengua and shrimp. It was fucking fantastic. I love cow tongue.
Cow tongue is very, very good if it's done right.
Yes, and this place does fantastic.
Like heart meat is very, very good if it's done correctly, but it's a very, very tough meat. So, what are they saying in IRC? Because I see a smirk on your face.
Oh, well, people are making jokes at my statement of urban gentleman. And people keep going, "Say black man, say black man," and I don't know if the guy was black. And when I say urban gentleman, I mean unidentified, thuggish youth. A punk ass kid.
In this day and age, it could be a white kid, it could be an Asian kid, it could be a Mexican kid, it could be a black kid. It doesn't fucking matter.
I generally will say some black kid, some Mexican kid, some white kid, but. If I don't know who it is, I just default to urban youth or urban gentleman.
You can't go wrong with brown people.
I don't know. Well, see, I'm brown on my arms, but then once you hit past my elbows, I'm pristine as fresh-driven snow. White people.
Darth said in the Q&A app that Darth responded, said no, he was dead serious. The Huffing spent ammo guy. So I don't know. Well, I mean, that was hilarious. I mean, the cool thing about this whole thing that we're doing with the Gun It Threaded Week is that it's actually kind of. I think it's starting to kind of take off a little bit. The first couple of weeks, people were like, "Ah, fuck this! It's fucking Iron Chan. I fucking hate him." And we're not gonna do this, but people are starting to kind of get into it, and so the last couple weeks especially have been really good for submissions and nominations.
Well,
So
and
I'm really enjoying that, and
there's
it's
also the fact that it's basically a very ripe, target-rich environment.
oh sure. Yeah, and this week, I mean, there's a lot of really good submissions, not including Zapp, who I kept removing his, and he kept on, unremoving it. But that's just Zapp being Zapp.
Well, the other one, I do want to address the other one that keeps getting removed at some point in the future, with that new friend that you made that no one realizes that you ended up, making up with the gentleman that was.
No, everybody realizes it. Nobody gives a shit.
I know it's quite annoying that it keeps coming up by troll accounts.
You know what? Here's the thing. Okay, for those of you who don't know, everybody who's watching right now knows. What's it been? A year and a half?
At least.
A year and a half ago, maybe even longer, a guy posted a thread on Reddit, a bunch of pictures of a bunch of guns that he really didn't seem to know anything about. He made a bunch of claims of military service and also claims of being confined to a wheelchair due to his military service. I call bullshit because it just didn't add up.
I don't know. It was pretty thin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I called bullshit. It didn't add up. The guy posted proof that he had, in fact, been in the military, in the Marine Corps, and that he was, in fact, in a wheelchair. So I said, oh, my bad. It's all good.
Put up your mea culpas. Mea culpas.
I posted up. I edited my post. Said, you know what? I was wrong. I even posted a screenshot of a private message conversation that him and I had that he initiated. Where he said, I totally understand why you called me out. I hope we're all good. Blah blah blah. What is that? OG what?
10 Barrel Brewing Co.
Oh, okay. So we were good to go. There was no hard feelings on either side, right?
Yep.
Well, of course, being Reddit, it completely took on a life of its own, and this wasn't really that long after the.
It was one of our pranks.
It wasn't that long after one of our pranks, and people were still.
PC.
People still had sand in their vaginas over one of our pranks, so they were a little chafed down there, and no amount of gold bond was helping. So the long and the short of it is, it took on a life of its own. It got spread to other subreddits, blah blah blah, and finally, at some point, Zap Nuked an entire thread. After I had said, somebody accused me of deleting comments, and I said I don't delete comments. I don't delete my own comments specifically. Go through my entire post history. I've never deleted a comment. I stand by every single thing I ever say. Good or bad, I don't give a shit. If I say it, it's out there, and I own it. So the thing is, though, is
there was never any hard feelings between you and this Marine.
And I was
full up admitted very quick. This injury was nothing to do with my service. This was
no. He never admitted that.
Oh,
No. See, he made a mistake when he posted. He doxed himself. So
that's right.
I did a little research because he doxed himself. He did all the work for me, and the guy, he was put in a wheelchair, which sucks. Having been there, I can tell you it's not fun. But he was put in a wheelchair because he got drunk and went snowboarding and pulled a Sonny Bono. So his injury was not service connected. His disability is not service connected. So there was some pretty significant embellishment on his part.
Yeah.
But the bare facts of it were that he was in fact in the Marine Corps, and the guns were in fact his. And that was
shit about guns.
He still didn't know. The long and the short of it is that this one particular guy, this one particular person, who is my biggest fan, I guess, keeps bringing it up, and it doesn't bother me. I don't give a shit. But he brought it up three or four times in the Gun It Thread of the Week nomination thread this week, and every single time his comment was removed, once by me and twice by other moderators. And I think you guys even banned him. I don't. It didn't.
Well,
I don't give a
coming
shit.
back and well, anyways, so this I believe should be our absolute final reference to it because
Sure.
it's overdone. And now, if at any point, what are we? 20 minutes into our show, you can reference to this point in the YouTube video and say, "Here you go, fuckers. If you have a problem, watch the video."
The best part of the whole
No
thing
ever
was
addressing it again.
the best part of the whole thing was that Zap nuked an entire thread. James, I don't remember which prank it was. I think it was April. It was shortly after the April Fool's Day prank, I think.
Was it our pre-April Fool's prank or our April Fool's?
I don't know. We were doing a lot of pranks back then. But the Zap nuked Zap nuked an entire thread, and I got accused of nuking a thread after I said I don't delete stuff like that. I don't ever delete my own comments, blah, blah, blah. Zapp even came out and said, it was me, fuckers. And he has screenshots of him saying, it was me, fuckers. But people still, this one person still accuses me of doing it. And it's hilarious because the self-delusion that's involved with somebody like this in the face of bold-faced facts and proof and evidence to the contrary of everything he's saying, he's still he thinks it matters. He thinks what he says matters. And whoever this person is, I don't give a shit. And I wouldn't really give a shit if I knew what your real screen name was. But I give a shit even less because you keep hiding behind throwaway accounts. So go set yourself on fire.
And that's it. Moving on to the most asked question in IRC. Do you want me to bring this up?
I don't know. What is it?
What the fuck, guys? Monkey Mesher, what the fuck, Wax, Masher, Zap. How many dicks can Iron Chin fit in his mouth?
Why are they targeting me with the dick question? They usually target you with that.
Well, you get the dick question tonight.
I've never had a dick in my mouth, so I can't answer that question. It could be one, it could be a million. I don't know because I've never gone that way.
Well, apparently, penis is quite the focus of our not our target audience, but our supposed actual audience right now.
This show is like one extended viewing party of Top Gun in a bathhouse in Greenwich Village. Okay, so, that's what this show is. This show is like a bunch of gay guys sitting around watching Top Gun while getting their steam on in Greenwich Village, because everything always comes down to cock and balls on this show. I don't know why, but that's just the way it goes.
And Zapp's big problem was it seems every time he makes a fucking matches post, for some reason, it's not like you're doing it on purpose, it's for some reason you end up sticking a new thread.
His timing is for shit. It's been going on for over a month now. On Mondays and onto Tuesdays, the sticky is mine. And we've set a precedent there. His timing is for shit. Zap, I'm sorry. As soon as the show's over, we can re-sticky yours, but Monday over to Tuesday is mine. So I don't know what to tell you, bucko.
I just want to know that you've now been immortally quoted as Iron Chin. I can fit a million dicks in my mouth.
Fucking, I knew that was going to happen.
So, I want to address, this was a question a couple weeks ago about the ammo market and how it is as far as what the futures and stuff are starting to look like. So this weekend, it was over this weekend. Walmart had a pretty spectacular return to, the good priced ammo. Just going out and plinking with military surplus or military grade gear. So they were running this stuff, this ZQI, which is essentially Turkish-made MKE ammo, which is stuff I've used in the past. It's got the MKE head stamp, which is just basically NATO Stenag 4172 stuff. So it's a steel core penetrator, 62 grain, and this stuff was 26 cents a round, and the fucking 308 was 30 cents a round. So we're starting to see a return to fucking blast it up and go out into the range and actually get to run stuff with brand new ammo. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. Though CCI did change up their packaging material. I don't know if you've noticed this into your store yet. They've ditched the plastic sleeves. They're now cardboard and a plastic insert. So I don't know if... Yeah, I didn't realize ATK was concerned about making money right now.
Plus,
faster is the difference. I believe this is faster, not cheaper.
It's going to be cheaper for sure, but also, honestly, there are a couple of other manufacturers who are putting out sleeves of their high velocity 22 that look exactly like many. That look. Is it Remington? I've got a sleeve at the store. It's either Remington or Winchester. It's a sleeve of high velocity 22. Looks exactly like a box of mini mags, except it's got
made by ATK.
Yeah. My point is that they're trying to differentiate.
Yeah, I can see that. So at the height of all of this, ATK makes, I would say, 90% of the rimfire market. We were getting these federal labeled boxes of ammo. Federal also does the plastic sleeves like CCI does, and we were getting CCI head stamp federal ammo, which was hilarious. And I've saved a bunch of it just because it's completely mispacked, but it's perfectly good ammo. Because the way that many people might not know is ATK makes all of this stuff, and then it goes to a different spot, and then gets packaged. And so sometimes the packaging can get mishandled by the other place.
Yes,
it's hilarious.
So two things off YouTube. Cashed Eye Judge has a question. He asked a bunch of questions last week, and thanks for watching again. But he asks, I want to put an AK arm brace on my AK pistol, but I want to increase the length of pull by adding an AR pistol sling mount that goes on the tube that holds the brace to the AK. Is it illegal to do so?
What I have seen, there are several people who have put the AR adapter tubes, the adapter, they're little circle adapters that attach much like the AK brace, that allows you to get an extra 1.5 inches of length of pull, and then just stick, instead of sticking an AR stock on there, you stick a pistol buffer like you would on an AR, and there's no reason that it would be illegal because it's still designed with intent to be a brace, not a stock. So there's really no, I see no thing with that. Whether or not the ATF agrees is completely different, but there's no reason that it should be any different.
There's no logical reason or reason I can think of from a legal standpoint why that would be illegal. You're not changing the basic function of the gun. So, but if you're that concerned about it, then you should write a letter to the technology branch and get their input.
Yeah, it's if you have the concern with it, it's the only way is to send a sample into the technology branch. It's not even going to be a letter because it's going to be a hardware change. And
well, no, you can if you describe it good enough in your letter and to get an opinion from technology branch is what I'm saying.
That's if you better explain yourself pretty good.
Okay.
Be as clear and concise.
If you know somebody who can make technical drawings, maybe perhaps include a technical drawing so they can visualize it. That way, if they come back and say, "Oh no, that's bad and this is why," you won't have sent them evidence of your felonious behavior.
That's true.
Okay.
But there is no reason that you can't. I know a lot of people that have to add that length of pull have used the AR stock adapter for. I'm assuming you're doing this to an M92. It's pretty much the #1 AK pistol that anybody gets these days is a Yugo M92. It'll add just enough to give you that good spacing. Now, and
it can always be explained as saying I have really long forearms and I need for the brace to fit comfortably on my forearm.
Frankly, the brace sucks if you have a hand.
Yeah, I get that. But we're not supposed to say that. Shh. We're not supposed to say that.
Oh, somebody brought up an IRC about the ZQI Ammo. Yes, it is. It's not crimped. The ZQI ammo isn't crimped. It's actually staked. So it's actually a little bit easier to pop so it's not a full circle crimp. It's just staked on 3 sides. So of course, you got to swage the pocket. You should be doing that on newly loaded ammo anyway. It's just better, cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to reload it, do it right.
And also on YouTube, Brandon Maloney, who apparently I've seen his comments on a couple of other videos. He's into 40K. He says, first 40K now, wow, too much win. I can't tell if he's being sarcastic or not, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's not being sarcastic. Yes, I play World of Warcraft. I've had a World of Warcraft subscription since the game came out. I played the World of Warcraft beta, all of them. I have one of the oldest characters on my server. I've never changed servers. I just went back. I have a year subscription that gets paid up every January, and I haven't played it all year, but I just came back to it last week or so, and I may or may not buy the new expansion. Probably not, because I don't have any money. But the long and the short of it is I play World of Warcraft, and I'm okay with that. That's one of the reasons you and I are friends. You realize that, right? I was thinking about that earlier.
I dip into WoW every once in a while. I was also on the same server as Rich, but we never knew that. I was with an old raiding guild that eventually transferred off to Feathermoon. We were one of the high-end Nax raiders. We even had our tank had corrupted Ashbringer and shit like that. But
I think didn't you guys get Realm first on that one?
Ashbringer, yes, not first kills of the 4 horsemen. See, now we could do an entire fucking show on probably.
But that's one of the reasons you and I are friends is because we via IRC we figured out that we like a lot of the same shit, and so yeah.
It was only last couple weeks ago that I found out that you were on the server that I had originally started on. It's kind of hilarious.
Most everybody I know has transferred off Icecrown. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's still a few people on my friends list from years and years ago who still play on Icecrown, but you know, I mean, I don't know what happened, but you know, I can't ever see myself leaving Icecrown. It's just, I don't know. It feels like
IRC says, oh, IRC says, what the fuck are we talking about WoW for? Somebody responds, nerds, and then Zapp responds with, because Iron Chin can fit 1,000,000 dicks in his mouth.
oh, let me see. Dmod Zaptel 47. No, I'm not actually going to do that. I'm not that fucking petty.
No.
Gage Chapman in the Q&A app says, trying to decide between going SBR or Sig Brace on 300 Black Pistol. Thoughts? Okay, here's my opinion, and then Omni's going to give you his, which is going to be completely diametrically opposed to mine, but that's okay. I think the Sig Brace is fucking retarded. I think at some point somebody is going to do something with a pistol with a Sig Brace on it, and it's going to be bad. And the ATF is going to unilaterally decide that Sig Braces are now illegal. I think it's only a matter of time. I realize that this means that I don't have a lot of faith in humanity, but, you know, them's the breaks. I would go, personally, I would go SBR. If you can afford the stamp and you can deal with the wait times, which are getting shorter, incrementally they are getting noticeably shorter.
Form 1s are under a month right now.
Yeah, exactly.
If you do it right.
If you do it right and it doesn't get sent back, a Form 1 should come back.
Electronic Form 1.
Yeah, an electronic Form 1. A paper Form 1 is still going to be a few months, but if you do an electronic Form 1 and it doesn't get sent back, so on and so forth, if you can afford the tax and you can deal with the wait time on a Form 1, I would go Form 1 all the way. Now, having NFA stuff, you know, it poses its own set of restrictions as far as transportation, and some people get around, using a Sig Brace, they can legally conceal carry an AR pistol in their vehicle, or technically on their person, because technically it's, you know, some states have a caliber restriction on what you can conceal carry on you legally. Like, for instance, technically in Oklahoma, anything above 45 caliber is you can't conceal carry it. So, you know, 223 is definitely not above 45 caliber. So,
are you sure about that? You can measure it.
Now, Omni's going to come in and say, "Fucking Sig Brace, bitch."
Well, I'm going to say that I really have been thinking of the idea of establishing a company that rents Sig Braces, because they're fan-fucking-tastic while you're waiting on your form coming through. And I've got one on one of my ARs, and I have no reason to go and actually SBR that, because it works, and it's pretty fucking solid. I've got the Sig knurled arm brace on it. It's got a little spacer in it. It gives a nice length of pull. When you're using it against manufacturers' recommendations of strap to your arm and shouldering it, I assume all risk of accidentally blowing my dick off by shouldering it, and it's pretty damn decent. I thought it was the dumbest idea in the world until I ended up rocking at least two of them. I've got it on an AK, but the AK I'm definitely going to end up SBRing. I haven't sent the paperwork off on that because I'm waiting on 3 right now. But if you build a 300 blackout pistol with the intent to go to an SBR at some point, use the brace. There's no reason not to get it because they're $100. You can easily get $100 out of it when you want to flip it and sell it. Do that for the wait time, and then get the form. Once you get your stamp back, just then turn around and sell it. Now, Rich brought up a good point of why I like leaving my AR with the Sig brace versus SBRing it is because I can legally leave it loaded in my car with the in the pistol configuration because
It's legally a pistol.
Yeah, it's a pistol. So, no one's ever been challenged by state police yet in Washington State on whether or not it's actually an AR pistol is actually a pistol according to the state. But what it does is lets me keep it loaded because rifles and shotguns, any sort of long gun, are controlled under the DNR. Or the whichever your particular state has your game laws. And game laws, that we could do an entire show on the fact that game.
When he says game laws, he means fishing game.
Fishing game, such as your DNR or your any sort of department of that involves hunting and such, because they get such carte blanche over your rights that they can take your truck without trial. They can civil forfeiture is just massive with things like that. So TLDR, build it with the brace and then send in for the Form 4 or the Form 1. There's no reason not to. Or if you have a reason to stick with a pistol, stick with a pistol with the arm brace. It works with the CAC tube or the SIG tube. You've got enough length to pull. It's awesome.
Firearm Tutorials brings up a good point that SBRs are harder to resell, and they are.
They're damn near impossible to as a private person to resell.
Because you can build one for cheaper than you can buy it for used. Mm-hmm. When you factor in the transfer and everything else. So
you're honestly going to strike it from the register. That's really what you're going to end up doing.
Yeah.
You're going to put a 16-inch upper on it or reconvert it back to a pistol and sell it as that and not as an SBR. It's just impossible to... it's really, really hard to do private Form 4s because you have to trust the person you're buying from.
Well, it's not. There's a certain amount of trust, but then it also just depends on the market. Like for instance, I had and this has been a while ago, but a guy come into the store and wanted to sell me an entire collection of guns.
Of NFA items.
There was a couple of NFA items, but it was mostly old Colt snake guns that I really, really wanted because I could flip them for a lot of money.
Ooh.
And I made him a very fair offer on the revolvers. But he also had a couple of suppressors. And he's like, no, you buy everything or nothing at all. And I said, you don't understand. Why am I going to pay you more than I pay the manufacturer for that suppressor, plus pay a $200 transfer tax because it's coming from a private person to me, so there's no Form 3. It's not a tax-free transfer. It's already on the register. He couldn't grasp the concept. So,
it's the NFA laws are just so fucking nebulous that the common person doesn't understand. Fine, I'll give you $1 for those cans. Because you're paying $201 for those that you have to wait before you can which I'm
exactly.
assuming the feller that wants to sell it would end up leaving it at your store. You know, he would, in his mind, when he's thinking about it, he's going to be like, I'm just going to give this to this guy, and he really can't.
No, and back then, 4 and 4 times were less, well, a little bit less than they are now, but still several months. And this is back before Sandy Hook and all this other crap. But he just didn't get it, and he it didn't matter what I said or how I explained it. He didn't get what I was trying to put across to him, that it didn't make any kind of financial sense whatsoever for me to buy those used suppressors from him at the price he was wanting, and honestly,
at any price, really.
At any price, honestly, it wouldn't. It's not. I mean, he could have offered to give them to me at no price, and I still wouldn't be interested because of the 4 and 4s. That being said, in order to try and sway him a little bit, I even upped my offer on the snake guns to try and take a little bit of the sting out of it. And he's like, no, I want everything gone all at once. I says, you're never going to find somebody to do that. Okay, the suppressors, you are never going to sell to somebody who knows what they're doing and knows the laws. I says, you'll be back in a week to take my offer. He never came back, so either he found a sucker or he did some dirty, shady shit. I don't know.
Yeah, it's entirely that he, like I said, the person that comes to you trying to sell the suppressor, in his mind, is going to leave it with the person that he sells it to. He's not going to realize that he has to take that back and sit on it and then honor giving it to you later, or facing, pound me in the ass prison.
Yeah. And the thing is the used NFA market sucks unless it's transferable full autos.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're building a brand new SBR, you may as well just get used to the fact that you're going to own that SBR for the rest of your life. It's not something you're going to build and then sell. If you're doing an a short barrel shotgun, same thing. Suppressors, same thing. Mm-hmm. The only way to get around, you could theoretically sell them to somebody if they're registered to a trust. You could sell somebody a membership stake in the trust. But yeah, so the long and the short of it is, unless we're talking about transferable full autos, pre-86 stuff, there's really no market. There's really no market for used NFA stuff.
For something that's going to be under $1,000, likely. Yeah. You're under 2,000 or 3,000. You're just finally getting to the point where it's profitable to deal in that sort of stuff. What are Mac10s going for these days? Still around 3, 4?
They've been dropping. I had my 2-stamp Mac10 for I paid $6,500 for it, and when I really needed the money, I sold it, and I sold it for about $5,000, and I think they're down below $3,500, $4,000, somewhere in that right now. I could check. I could check online real quick, but the point is that they're dropping. So I don't know.
Yeah,
and some things are going up though. Some things are going like through the roof. So it just depends.
Yeah, there are quite a few different things that change, and it's just a bitch and a half to sell this sort of stuff because of the way it's worded. It's not the entire point of it. If the government had its chance to change the NFA to include inflation, include change. The whole point of the NFA in the first place was to make sure that common plebeians wouldn't have access to, guns of this nature. That was the whole entire point. And so there was never any thought given to consideration of a resale or of logic behind it.
I want to talk about World of Warcraft for a second, again.
Wow.
I know. So last night, I was questing. I was doing a cooking quest for Juicy Crunch carrots. And the quest sheet says, the vermin in the area are known to have a lot of them and carry them a lot. And if you don't play World of Warcraft and you're not familiar with the vermin of Pandaria, think like a mutant bunny rabbit, a really big mutant bunny rabbit. Anyway, I must have killed like 600 of these motherfuckers last night and only got one carrot in the deal. And I said to Omni on Steam, we're talking about Juicy Crunch carrots tomorrow night. And so that's what made me rage last night, was the lack of Juicy Crunch carrots in World of Warcraft. And then, after a couple of hours of killing these mutant bunny rabbits, I then find out that the seed vendor sells Juicy Crunch carrot seeds, and I could just plant Juicy Crunch carrots in my little farm plot and harvest them the very next day and complete the quest. But I didn't find that out until after I'd spent hours killing every fucking rabbit I could see over and over and over again. So let's talk about this thread. This was one of the nominees, and I made a comment that I hoped that it would get nominated. It did get nominated. It didn't win, but we're not going to let that stop us. We usually pick more than one to talk about, but there was a thread posted 6 days ago, the title being "Why I Support Condition 3 Carry."
Oh, God.
By Apple Thief 16. Now, it should be noted that isn't Apple Thief 16... Apple Thief 16, I believe, is Damp Waffles, right?
Yeah, I think that it ends up being him.
Damp Waffles is...
If you're not familiar with him, he's our token racist that no matter how much we try quaffing it down, it ends up being that he finds his way back. And our most recent way was to put the what's the crescent and the star on his head?
The symbol of Islam.
Yeah. We put basically we troll the troll racist by putting various
giving him Muslim flair.
Well, I believe the last time I made sure that I expressed how much he loves his fellow man sexually was the last set of flair I gave him.
Yeah.
And it's probably the only way we've been able to deal with this guy. So back to what...
It makes him go away for a little while anyway. But the long and the short of it is he posts this thread. This is why I advocate carrying a semi-automatic magazine-fed pistol with an empty chamber, and then he posts a link from citylab.com, and then he posts a video, and in between there's a couple paragraphs of "I'm smarter than everybody else, and so what I say is absolutely right." But there's no... In fact, I don't think there's ever been one single proven instance where it was proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that a gun just went off.
He went after the whole "the gun just went off" angle, whereas I can see where if you're going to know you're going to get into a fisticuffs and be in close quarters and not having the chambered up gun would be advantageous because you know you're not going to go for your gun, and you have to know the future, so you got to be already pretty fucking oracle-ish.
I'm
In the
sorry,
fact that
Nemo.
this,
I'm sorry, Neo. You're not the one.
uh, uh, anyways, he went after the whole fact that guns might just go off. But what he was actually going for was addressing the fact that ADs don't happen, but the fact that NDs happen. There's generally always a reason that you fucked up when your gun goes off unintentionally. It's 99.9% your fuck up, including the 1911 that went flying across the room flew out of the police officer's holster and slammed into the
No,
MRI
it was still
machine.
holstered.
No, this is the MRI machine.
Yeah, read the article. Look at the picture in the article. It was still holstered. He took the gun and the holster off his belt.
Well, anyways, the dumbass brought the gun in with the giant ass fucking magnet.
And with a giant ass energized magnet.
Well, yes. Anyways, so
but
this guy, he ends up going off about how if you're carrying condition 3, you have a very lower chance of accident. I want to say he referred to accidental discharges rather than.
Let me see.
Anyways,
yeah, he's calling them accidental.
The whole point is that with a proper holster, which is super important, spend an extra, few bucks on a holster that doesn't cave in. That's good quality Kydex or leather. But if you're going to use leather, you have to go and inspect it and make sure it's not folding in the corner, so when you go and chamber it, boom, it goes off because you had a shitty holster. And keeping your fucking finger out of the trigger. That's how you keep NDs from happening. It's pretty simple, 2 steps. And yes, I do have a Kydex holster for my PMR because I'm baller like that.
Okay, so that's a good segue though into okay. I'm going to state this unequivocally for posterity and forever on the internet. Condition 3 carry is fucking stupid. If you do it, you're fucking stupid, and you shouldn't be carrying a gun. Period.
Now, I do want to interject there. I don't think brand new, fresh carry people should be scared off by carrying and just telling them that they're stupid for carrying condition 3. The first time you carry actually is pretty fucking scary. You're worried that everybody's seeing you. You're doing that first Walmart walk. So carry as you're comfortable. So you eventually end up in a point where you carry condition 1 or condition 1 or 0, depending. What you're carrying.
I disagree.
Already.
I disagree.
It just takes the first couple of weeks of go ahead, cock lock, and leave that shit ready to rock, but don't have a bullet in the chamber. And realize that by the time you're done with those first couple of weeks, that gun that hammer hasn't dropped, or that striker hasn't discharged. You're going to end up becoming comfortable.
And then my train of thought is, God forbid something happens in those first couple weeks.
Oh, God.
Where, hey, I'm just saying, God forbid something happens in those first couple weeks where having that gun not condition 1 ends up costing you, your life or your anal virginity or something else, and then you're going to be thinking, really, I should have been carrying with a round in the chamber, because
you're going to be dead.
You're going to be dead or raped, or dead and raped, or raped and then dead, or raped and then dead and then raped again. You're going to end up in a van down by the river. Who knows? Okay? The point is, and I know one of my videos, the Your Gun Your Responsibility series. You should check it out. It's a good series. Was dedicated to to carrying Condition 1, I believe. I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. The long and the short of it is, there's and this could take forever. I don't really want to get into it the way I would explain it to my customers, but the long and the short of it is from the time your eyes see a threat to the time you are reacting to the threat, unless you have an extreme amount of training, is several seconds. Now, if you compound that by having to spend an extra 1.5 to say 3 seconds racking the slide on a gun, all you're doing is adding time to an already bad situation. And you shouldn't do that. Now, that being said, if you're going to carry, regardless of how you carry, whether it's Condition 1 or Condition 2 or Condition 3, regardless of how you carry, if you're going to spend, I'm just going to throw $500 out there as a figure. If you're going to spend $500 on a gun,
spend money on a holster.
Yes. And I bring this up in one of my Your Gun, Your Responsibility videos. Think of the holster you choose and the belt you choose as it's like the foundation on your house. And if the foundation on your house goes, eventually the whole house will crumble around it. Like my house has foundation issues. It's very, very expensive to fix these issues. But, there's evidence of these issues inside my house with cracks in the drywall and stuff like that. There's not a lot about it. There's not a lot I can do about it right now. But the foundation issues in the house are evidenced elsewhere on the property. If you spend $500 on a gun, and I'm not saying it's only this. I don't mean to make it sound like I'm saying that, if you're going to spend $500, meaning if you spend less money, you could spend less money on a holster. The point is that the belt and the holster you choose is more important than the gun you choose.
It's basic safety equipment.
It's
basic equipment.
It's basic, extraordinarily important equipment. It is more important than the gun, because if your belt isn't stiff enough and your holster isn't good enough, when something bad happens, if something bad happens where you have to draw that gun, okay, and you have a shitty holster, a shitty Uncle Mike's holster. I wish you guys could see this. For those of you who are eventually going to be listening to this on iTunes, whenever he gets around to putting it on iTunes, Anyway, the last thing you want to be doing when you're fighting for your life is fighting your fucking holster and your belt. I would say, in my opinion, that the belt is more important than the holster, but the holster is very important. A good, stiff, stout belt will take up some of the slack for a shitty holster, but if you have, it doesn't matter if you have a $100 holster, if you're using a $10 fake leather Walmart belt to support it, the benefits you have from that $100 Kydex custom molded holster, they disappear, they go away. Because now you're fighting the belt.
Yeah, it comes down to essentially not being stupid and using basic tools for self-defense. If it's part of the whole ensemble of carrying a gun, it's the secondary thing of, most importantly is carrying every day. Secondly is carrying correctly. I put a good holster, a good belt, and carrying condition 1 as, or cock lock, ready to rock dock, as basic, proper carry technique. And that's super important. It doesn't matter how fast you draw, how fast you practice, how much you practice. Having the basics down, having the foundation is most important.
You know, it's like, you know, Springfield market, or, you know, packages their guns with these really, really shitty plastic holsters, but with a good enough belt, they're still better than, you know, like in Uncle Mike's ball sack holster. Okay.
The only thing you should ever use Uncle Mike's holsters for is your P22 when you're out fucking around at the range, if that. Because I know not everybody's going to drop $50 on a custom Kydex holster for their 22, and that's understandable. But there's honestly, I will direct people away from the Uncle Mike's stuff, even though we have a bigger profit margin on Uncle Mike's.
Well, yeah.
To our custom Kydex stuff that we only make, you know, like $3 or $5 on.
The problem is that, well, yeah, a good sturdy belt is the most important thing. A good high quality holster is second most important. And third most important is the actual gun you're going to carry. In that order, in my opinion. There's absolutely no science involved in this, but it's just years and years and years of experience, not only carrying, but also instructing and training and everything else.
I would put condition of
to
carry.
Give that order. What?
I would put condition of carry over the gun itself. It doesn't matter if you're carrying a super fancy fucking HK. If you're not carrying in a method that is quick and easy to access, it's more important than the gun itself.
Sure. You know, it's just basic. You're not gonna climb a power pole if you're a lineman for the power company. You're not gonna climb a power pole without a harness. Okay. There's no excuse, you know, to not have a good sturdy belt. And the good thing about it is that, especially over the last few years, more and more companies are offering and marketing belts specifically designed to be used as vessels for handguns, whether they be concealed or open carried. So you don't have to go out and buy a 511 instructor's belt. You can buy, you know, a nice looking 1.5 inch. Okay, and it has to be 1.5 inches. An inch belt is just not going to be sturdy enough. I don't care how sturdy, you know, it is. It's not going to be sturdy enough because there's just too much of an inherent gap in the slots in the holster. But, you know, there's many companies out there that make good sturdy belts out of leather, and they're usually bolstered with a hard plastic or something sandwiched between two layers of leather. Real fancy looking stuff that would be absolutely appropriate to wear with, you know, slacks and a jacket, you know, a shirt and a tie. You know, you don't have to rock the instructor's belt, is what I'm saying. You don't have to look like a tag. Well, so do I, because I'm fat. But
yeah, but I dress in a nice button down every day, tucked in shirt, you know, or untucked, depending on what it is. And I totally have the ass-looking instructor's belt because I don't give a shit. I rock the instructor's belt because I'm fat and because it works. Period. But what I'm trying to say is for people out there who are like, well, I can't get a nice looking concealed carry belt. Yeah, you can. Okay, you can get a belt that
will go along with whatever your work attire is. And if you're not a tactical Timmy, and you don't need to. All I'm trying to say is you don't have to have an instructor's belt to have a good sturdy belt. There's plenty of options out there for you. Which brings me to our next subject.
Well, before we move on,
okay,
we do have Brandon Maloney asked on YouTube, how do you even choose what style of holster to get no carry experience, barely chosen gun? And that could be covered on an entire show. Trust somebody that you trust.
Well, yeah. And hopefully your dealer is the one that you trust.
Trust Gun It. Post to it, and we'll probably, when it comes to stuff like that, it's actually pretty reliable on the whole up-down vote type system, because it's completely off base. We'll remove it. But
go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying, you do come down to the basics of what style you want, what material you want, what style of carry you want, and what position you want. Now, those are the three basic things. So for me, it's Kydex, FBI can't, 4 o'clock, out of waistband. And so that's I suppose that could either be 3 or 4 different things that I like. The FBI can't gives more concealability and a better draw angle. And the Kydex is a better material, I think. I know you carry on a lot of leather. I carry most.
I mostly carry Kydex. I occasionally carry leather, but I prefer Kydex. That's just my preference. I mean, I have leather holsters for Mexican weddings and such, but Kydex is my personal favorite. I mean, my everyday holster is a Raven concealment.
Well, as far as my earlier statement of posting to Gun It, I should have prefaced that with look at the fucking FAQ first, because that's super important, because all of these things are already addressed in posts previous to yours.
I can tell you for myself, when somebody comes in and they're in that situation where they've never carried before, this is their first thing, it doesn't take me very long to figure out what gun is going to work best for them. And then most of the time after that is spent working out what the best holster, what the best carry system is for them.
Agreed.
I spend more time working with people on where and how they're going to carry than actually choosing the gun, because choosing the gun is pretty straightforward for me. And
Glock 19 thread.
Maybe. My point is choosing the gun is pretty straightforward. I ask a series of questions, and based on those answers, I can make recommendations for 95% of the population that is going to work just fine. Yeah, I see. He's
HK shell.
Yeah. Woo. HK needs to start sponsoring us. You're such a fucking fanboy. They need to start sponsoring us and sending us free shit. But
HK doesn't give a shit.
When I say trust your dealer, I mean that. Firearm tutorials in the question and answer app says, "What if your dealer sells you an Uncle Mike's?" They're a terrible human being, and you probably shouldn't. You probably shouldn't deal with them anymore. I don't know what to tell you. I have Uncle Mike's holsters in my store.
For a very specific subset of people that won't listen to you anyway.
Exactly. So, very specific subset of people. Thankfully, the bulk of my customer base are not members of that subset of people. But, you have to find somebody you trust. Okay? Now, obviously, you're watching this show. You're listening to this show. Whatever it is, you're doing that for
some dumbass reason. You trust us.
For whatever reason, I don't know where you live, but chances are wherever you live, I know somebody who sells guns there. So I don't know. Send
And
me an
it
email
is
or
now
something.
it
I don't.
has
I
now
don't.
been revealed that Rich is actually FC.
Me? I don't know. Am I? I can tell you for a fact that I know FC personally, and I am not him.
Maybe. Perhaps.
Chances are very good that I am not him.
No, because he, as far as looks go, he's the complete opposite of you.
You've seen him, right?
Yes. He's the complete opposite of both of us.
Regardless, I mean, at some point when you're buying a gun, you have to. If you've never done it before, if you're new to carrying all this stuff, you're gonna have to trust somebody. And honestly, okay, there's a pretty significant amount of trust here. Trusting somebody to ink semi-permanent designs under my skin. There's a certain amount of trust involved in that. So I research my tattooists very much, and I also talk to them a lot before I ever let them actually do anything on me, because I want to make sure that I can get along with them as a human being, because we're going to be spending a lot of time together. But mostly, I just want to have warm and fuzzy feelings when I speak to them. And if you can find a gun dealer where you have those warm and fuzzy feelings, where they're not talking down to you, where they're not condescending, where they're not, God forbid, they're not bringing up politics or religion in their store to their customers, then you will have found somebody you can trust to make solid recommendations.
There's that. Maybe we should address. There's another question from Cash-Eyed Judge, or if we could keep going on, because that's a very good tangent into. Maybe we'll save that for another time. We'll do a show on shit that happens in the gun store.
Yeah, we could probably do
definitely need to do an entire show on that.
Well, I don't think we need to do an entire show on it, but we could easily fill an hour. And at this point, we have like 40 minutes, give or take, left in the show. So, we would just run out of time. And I think the viewing audience, we can only hold their attention for a couple hours. So, I don't want to go too far past that and just watch the numbers drop, because that makes my soul hurt.
Somebody brought up the statement of, would it be safe to buy a machine gun for a long-term investment and just to shoot? My concern with them becoming illegal because of something like the 9-year-old and the instructor, is that likely, or do you think they will be legal for a long time to come? The answer to that is very short. Yes, they will be fine. They're not going anywhere.
Now, that being said, guns are not an investment. If you want to invest, buy gold, buy silver, buy real estate. Guns are not a sound investment strategy.
Now, guns are a solid hold. If you get the right guns, they will hold their value.
Sure, and
ammo will hold its value.
It's
something to hedge your bets.
Transferable machine guns traditionally don't lose a significant amount of value. Yeah. However, like that Mac that I had that I paid $6,500 for, it wasn't even 2 years later I sold it at a loss because I needed the money. Now, eventually, the prices on those Macs will bounce back at some point, okay? But I didn't buy that gun as an investment. I bought it because I really wanted a fucking Mac, because they're just fun little guns to shoot. But guns are not a sound investment strategy. If you're, and for the kind of money you're talking about buying a transferable machine gun, you could buy an awful lot of gold or silver bullion.
Now, see, this is where I'm going to have to disagree with you. With as far as I have never understood the whole investment in precious metals. If people buy it for shit hits the fan type of things, and who the fuck cares? When you're down to not having any water or food, you're gonna be paying for
Speak for yourself. I'm just going to be murdering people. I'm not.
There's always that.
I'm going to be like the fucking governor. Okay? I'm going to be like the fucking governor. Okay? Shit hits the fan, zombie apocalypse, rage virus, whatever. Okay? This is DayZ, motherfucker. Okay? And I'm a motherfucking bandit.
I'm going to ask you a question. But as far as investments go, there are some guns that will be a positive investment. They won't be a huge return. They won't be a big return. But there are certain, just like anything, there is always a market vector for investment. Now,
yes,
like I said, I personally don't believe that precious metals are what will be important in any sort of Etowaki situation.
I think history disagrees with you.
Well,
I mean some of the first
metals for our current way of life are no longer golds and silvers. They're rare earth minerals.
Sure.
That's the super important thing.
But look at what's that dollar bill in your wallet? It's a fucking silver certificate. It's a promissory note.
It hasn't been a silver certificate for.
My point is, it's a promissory note. Okay,
it's based is what it is.
It's a promissory note from the federal government saying we owe you this amount of money, of actual currency, in exchange for this piece of paper. It's a promise to pay.
Not any right now. Fiat currency no longer is a promissory note of any kind. It's just saying we say this is what it's worth. So paper is worth whatever anybody will give for it.
Well, what I'm saying is there's still a gold standard, no pun intended. Okay, gold and silver, there's a finite amount of it on this planet. That amount is never going to go up. It's not something that it's not something that's ever going to be made. Okay. I think if we're going to get into the whole prepper conspiracy theorist realm, that, at least at the beginning of some kind of shit hits the fan scenario, that gold and silver are going to be very important. But more importantly than that, gold and silver are a solid investment because it always eventually goes up. Okay?
Maybe. If it unless it caps and then drops like it recently did.
Well, it spiked in 2011, and then it's been on a downward slide since then, but it's just started recently climbing back up, and then eventually it's going to spike. It's hills and valleys, hills and valleys, hills and valleys.
Yes.
That said, I don't have any gold or silver left. I sold it all because I needed the money. So regardless, I'm going to be the fucking governor when the zombie apocalypse happens. Okay, I've got nothing to trade. But I do have a gun, and I have a lot of bullets for it, so that's all there is to it. And it's going to be a great weight loss plan, too.
For me, my investment materials are lead, brass, and steel. That's as far as physical things go. Everything else is stocks, bonds, and other virtual things that don't really exist, much like currency. Currency is nothing except what somebody will give to you. Same thing with my stocks, my bonds, my short-term investments. The only thing that I have that I can rely on is my steel, my brass, my lead. That's my my thoughts on as far as investments go. You were looking to transition into something before.
Yes.
Then.
On the topic of carrying, there was a thread posted 4 days ago saying a question for ladies with a flashbang holster. I just got mine, and I'm discovering that wearing it makes my bra extremely ill-fitting and uncomfortable. My bra almost isn't touching my skin anymore, and there's a lot of excess material. How do you combat this? By not carrying a fucking gun in your bra.
And this was originally going to be our topic channel, our channel topic.
Yeah, I think my original title was something like "Booby Carry is Bad" or something.
Yeah, it was something along the lines of that. And for me, I don't care how you carry as long as you're carrying is my big thing.
I agree with that. However,
titty holsters work. You
don't. It's not a fucking secure platform. What kind of foundation? You're talking about
it's Kydex wrapping around a trigger guard. It's the same shit that I carry, just.
But what platform? But that's my point. Okay, there's a bra is just a bra. A bra is designed to hold up your tits. A bra is not designed to hold up a gun. No. Okay, it's a stretchy material, maybe with a metal underwire, but that has nothing to do with the carry. It's there to cradle the breastal orbs. Okay, it's not there to cradle your fucking Lady Smith. Unless you call your tits Lady and Smith.
Frankly, yes, but the whole there's no better thing to do than carrying on your belt in either out of waistband or in waistband.
I absolutely agree, but with especially women generally, a lot of women don't like to wear belts. Okay, so that leaves two options. Either I educate them and talk them into starting to wear trousers with belts, and getting a real holster and a real belt, or I make suggestions for pocketbook or purse carry, which I don't like, but is better than nothing. And there's an awful lot of concealed carry purses out there on the market now that are really nice and very fashionable.
I want to interject.
One thing I will never, ever, ever, ever recommend to a female customer, hey, put this sky in your tits.
I will say a titty holster is 99.9 times better than any purse carry.
If you go from the logic that at least it's still on your body and on your person, sure, I totally get what you're saying, but I also totally disagree. It's fucking awkward. Okay, it's silly. It's not a secure carry platform. IRC must be going nuts over all this titty talk.
Yeah,
but it's not a secure carry platform.
HivBus agrees with me.
I don't care.
Zapp agrees with you.
I don't care how hot you are or how hot the models are that demonstrate these flashbang holsters, which is a fucking stupid name. It's juvenile and it's fucking condescending and it's just bad marketing. But regardless, these I don't care how hot the models are that are demonstrating these holsters. It's not going to convince me that it's a safe and secure method of carrying a firearm.
It's better than a purse carry. If you have a bra that fits, if you have a proper bra,
a bra that fits is going to fit your body. When you add 15 ounces of gun and holster to it, it's no longer going to fit your body. So, hello.
I guess I don't wear enough holster.
Ask your wife.
My wife goes. I'm not going to answer that question because I'm going to get.
Ask her. No, ask her what she thinks.
She doesn't carry. So.
Okay. Ask her if you had the choice. No, it's not stupid, Dorothy. If you had the choice between carrying a gun in a pocketbook or carrying it tucked in between your tits.
It's not between your tits. That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. Here's the big thing. I've actually sat and talked to a lot of women. We sell them, and I get to help women. Hey, maybe I'm jaded in the fact that I get to help them and tell them how to size it and position it right, because I get boobies.
So you like these things because you get to see tits.
I don't get to see tits, but I get to.
You get to ask women questions in public about their tits and not be called a creep for it.
Anyways, so you have to have big enough tits for this to work, to conceal it properly. You have to have the equipment to carry in this method. So that also means having a good, strong underwire bra, which do exist, that can completely carry a Ladysmith and LCP or something light like that. You also have to carry it offset so it doesn't fuck up your tits.
I get all that. I know how they work. I know how they're supposed to fit. I get all that. My point is I can see your point if you're saying, you know, if your only logic behind it being better than pocketbook carry is based on the fact that it's still on the body. Okay? Off-body carry is not...
Because all it takes is one guy with a knife to come and slit your purse and run off with it. Boom.
Okay? With a traditional purse, sure. With the concealed carry purses, not so much. But the long and the short of it is there are options that are more secure than the traditional, you know, fucking Coach bag or whatever. That said, on body, on the waist, in a holster, with a good solid belt is the best way to carry.
Well, yes. That's not the
Everything
point.
else beyond that, okay, is just different degrees of bad.
Well, and now with this, I do want to address one of the statements in the Q&A app, which, because Zapp has been a little squat in IRC, we're now going to...
I wasn't going to go there, so...
The statement of, if only there was another form of carrying, perhaps one that took advantage of an existing orifice. Yes, Zaptal carry is always an option. You just have to find a good place to squat.
Okay.
New topic. We're losing viewers.
No, we're not. We're gaining viewers.
Oh, maybe.
We've gained 4 in the last 20 minutes. I don't give a shit about IRC. We're 31. We're at 31 right now. We just gained 2 in the last 12 seconds.
Fun.
Okay. This was just posted today, 9 hours ago. It was never nominated because it was such a brand new thread. But Scheisskopf for the win posted the myth of the low mass, high velocity cartridge, the Liberty Ammo 9mm gel test. And he posted a video.
Rip ammo!
He posted a video of a cheaper version of the G2 Rip ammo made by a company called Liberty Civil Defense. Liberty Ammo is their civil defense line. These are the same chuckleheads who, what, a year, 2 years ago?
They made the Halo ammo that completely ripped off the Bungie arts and graphics of Halo. It was completely fucking ridiculous.
So the Liberty Civil Defense, it's the 50 grain, 9mm 50 grain, you know, that does, you know, 2,100 feet per second. The muzzle velocity on this is retardedly fast.
No mass.
With absolutely no mass into FBI calibrated ballistic gel. Now, what ballistic gel is, for those of you who don't really know, ballistic gel is designed to mimic the properties of muscle. Okay? It's designed to mimic the physiological properties of human muscle. So these ballistic gel tests are great, but they also don't really show you anything, because your body is not all muscle. Your body is basically a giant sack of blood and water. It's a meat sack.
But it's a very solid a benchmark, universal benchmark to use. If it's properly calibrated gel, it's a good baseline. You know, you want the good 14 inches of penetration on that because it equates out to actually getting through things like the sternum.
Yes.
So
all your important organs, well, most of your important organs are protected by your rib cage. And if you're a space marine, they're also protected by your black carapace and your fused ribs. But if you're not a space marine, if you're a normal, unaugmented human being, you have your rib cage, and that protects the large portion of your lungs. It protects your heart, the stuff that is really kind of super important for your continued existence. For ammunition to successfully take you out, it has to be able to punch through not only whatever you're wearing and however many inches of blubber you have on top of it, but it has to be able to punch through that bone, that very hard bone. And a lot of people don't know this, but your rib cage is designed to have a lot of flex. It's not very brittle. So it has a lot of flex. It has a lot of give before your ribs will actually break. So these ballistic gel tests, when you see something like this, and I watched the video, and the stuff penetrated like an inch into the gel before it started breaking apart. So not only did it not penetrate as much as the G2 did, the RIP ammo, but then it did the exact same shit as the G2 is supposed to do. You know, you're muted, right? This is it's a bullshit gimmick, and if you buy this stuff, send me money instead. If you want to give money away for no good reason, send it to me.
Here's the thing.
I need to buy the World of Warcraft expansion. So.
This brings us back to episode 2, of where I throw my arms up in the air and exclaim physics.
You told me you were going to go there with this. Yeah. Okay.
Birdshot has no mass. This is why it's a bad fucking thing. Liberty Ammo has no mass. This is why it's a bad fucking thing. RIP ammo, when it separates and completely fucking gets retarded with 6 grain trocars or whatever the fuck they decided to call it.
Call them trocars, yeah.
Yeah, has no mass. It means it has no penetrating power. The whole point is to get in this area and drop blood pressure. That's the whole point of shooting to stop a threat, is to drop the blood pressure. If you're using something like this Halo ammo bullshit or the RIP ammo, sure, it's going to leave a fucking goddamn nasty flesh wound, but fuck, it's not going to penetrate any major arteries or just drop the blood pressure down to the point that you're incapacitated.
Yeah, stopping a threat is all about stopping a threat. So, the more blood loss that somebody has, if there's no blood to pump, then it doesn't matter how high you are, okay, or what kind of drugs you're on. At some point, your body just can't work. And this kind of shit is not going to do the job.
So, IRC brought up 5.56 has no mass. Why is that? Isn't that a bad thing? I go, it is a bad thing, but rifle rounds make up for that in actual velocity versus, a super light projectile out of a super short barrel with no. So.
You're absolutely. Yeah, there's some pretty significant science involved and a lot of physics, but like 50, they're bringing up 55 grain 5.56. Is it the greatest caliber in the world? No, it's not. Will it do the job? Yes. If applied liberally enough, it will absolutely do the job. Matthew wants to know, why do these people even make this stupid ammo? And the only answer I have for that is because there's a sucker born every minute.
And people believe this stuff, and I honestly think the people that make this believe it too. There's so much stuff that people believe. And by the way, did you plug back in your damn soundboard?
No, why?
Oh, because I can hear myself, and I've been getting a lot of complaints about the echo.
I'm not hearing any echo.
Yeah, it's fine.
How about now?
I can still hear myself through your microphone.
Whatever. I don't know what to tell you.
We get people that believe this stuff and keep spreading it. It ends up just being this ginormous fucking circle jerk that always goes around. People don't know any better. They hear a cool sounding thing, or they see somebody blowing up a melon, and that triggers in their head, oh my god, that must be what it is when you shoot somebody.
But it's nothing like what it is. It's not even.
You don't know any better.
It's not even remotely. The closest thing you can do to mimic shooting a human is to shoot a pig. I don't know what else to say about that. They're physiologically, their skin is very similar to ours. Their muscle is very similar to ours. I can totally hear myself through you now, and I don't know why.
Mm-hmm. Something's retarded.
I don't know. It's the internet, yo. But I'm still going to stand by what I said about birdshot in the right circumstances. Is it going to kill somebody? Probably not. Is it going to deter them? If you're talking about like a home defense scenario, then it's better than a stick in the eye. But there's literally no excuse to buy this stuff, except if you jump on the hype train.
Yeah, that's entirely. You get people that follow down these paths of this guy said that at one point in the time, and it's like, is dry firing my gun dangerous? Blah 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 blah. You just get perpetuating bullshit. It just is what happens.
Well, gun culture is full of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how rife it is across the entire gun culture.
Yeah, gun culture is full of that kind of shit. So, it's perpetuated by the internet. It's perpetuated by something awful and arf.com and it's Reddit. These gun myths, they move literally at the speed of light, and enough people talk about it, and all of a sudden it goes from being something incredibly stupid to being, biblical gospel fact, and it's just silly. It's got to be something on your end, dude. There's something on your end. Well, talk. I'm not talking.
They had the microphone muted. I've got a couple of questions coming up from IRC. If you're done on that topic.
I'm done on that topic. Are we done on that topic?
Oh, I think.
I just wanted to mention it.
Yeah, and it's not something that we're going to really be addressing anymore as far as the future of the show goes, because it ends up just being a big circle jerk of stuff that we've already asked and answered. And I'd like in the future to, if people have these questions, we'll answer them off the air, not on the air. So the questions coming up from IRC are about 308s and M14s. It ends up being, we just have a bunch of silly questions coming up. So the M1 carbine, and why is it used by the Israelis to defend Israel? And the simple answer is they were cheap,
Yeah.
and we gave them all of our carbines at the end of various wars.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's pretty easy. They use anything that's given to them, and that ended up developing into the whole idea behind Israeli carry. That's another thing you hear when you hear about level 3, condition 3 carry, is that the Israelis do it, so why don't you? It's originally the Israelis started with cheap guns that were given to them, and that includes their pistols that did have the chance of NDing when you slipped and fell on your ass because they used shitty free-floating firing pin designs.
Go lay down.
If people want to weigh in on the idea of if we give you guys a spot to submit questions prior to the show instead of just doing live questions, go ahead and give us some feedback in YouTube or any of the various other channels.
Yeah, we could explore that, sure. Laser Guide says, and he's on YouTube, I currently own a Glock 19, but in smaller medium shirts and 26 to 28 by 32 jeans. I feel like the chances of concealing one of these is dubious at best. What do you recommend? Wear bigger shirts. No, honestly, that's
pretty simple.
That's the best advice I can give you is either wear bigger shirts or go up a size in jeans and carry inside the waist. But carrying it's a lifestyle choice, and you have to make your fashion decisions based around the fact that you're going to be carrying a gun. And if you're carrying someplace where you have to carry concealed, then you have to make your clothing decisions based on whether your clothing choices are going to conceal your gun enough.
It's, carrying, here's my big thing. Carrying a gun is not comfortable. Carrying a gun is comforting. That's my big line that I use when I'm selling stuff, is that it's you got to make sacrifices in order to carry correctly or carry well.
It's not even sacrifices. It's more.
Considerations that you have to put forward for the way you dress, the way you do.
Compromises is the word I'm looking for. Carrying a gun is a compromise. If you're going to carry, then you have to compromise on what you're going to wear and how you're going to wear it. It's that simple. Because your fashion choices are going to be limited within reason. So if you're gonna, if you're carrying outside the waist, then stop wearing small or medium shirts. Buy bigger shirts. Buy longer shirts. Go up one size in shirts other than what you would normally wear, and maybe also buy the tall version of that same shirt so you have a little more length. But it's pretty simple stuff. Just buy bigger shirts, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's a easy way to do it. And what was it? The question came up: if you could only own one handgun, what is it? And to me,
who's asking that?
IRC's Darth is asking that. If you could own only one handgun, what is it? Ask IC2. I know what you're going to say, and it's probably pretty similar to me. I probably would go with the 1911.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm lying. I probably would definitely go with a Glock 19 or some sort of compact 9mm, just because it's the most common caliber, and if you're running around, you want it's a caliber that you can always get ammo for, unless there's a panic.
Sure. My
So,
answer
so
is
my,
1911.
go ahead.
My answer is 1911. That's the answer.
There's also
1911 is best 11. I don't know what to tell you. They're ubiquitous. There's millions upon millions of magazines out there. There's hundreds of millions of rounds available. You could theoretically, I've never tried this, and I hope never I have to. You could theoretically bring down a deer with one. But
that's
it's not a perfect round by any stretch. But it's a good journeyman jack of all trades round.
With that, if it was one only ever, it would probably definitely be a 357 revolver, just because there's so many options with such a gun.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The other question from IRC was the difference, or why is the M1 better than the M1 carbine, or vice versa, which is completely
It's apples and oranges.
Question. Yeah, I don't know if that's quite.
You're not comparing apples to apples there. How do you answer that question?
I would. It'd be preferable for me to see a question like Car 98 versus the M1 Garand, or some other battle rifle versus intermediate carbine.
30 caliber carbine is an amazing round. It does a whole lot of stuff really, really good.
But it does. It doesn't do anything really. I don't think it does anything really good. It does a lot of stuff okay, whereas 30-06, it's nothing like 30-06 or the versatility of such a round.
Oh, sure. 30-06, you can reliably take down most North American game with it. It's a flat shooter. It's fast. It carries a lot of kinetic energy. A 30-06 lever gun, you can almost never go wrong with a good 30-06 lever gun.
The BLR, fantastic gun. But as far as that question goes, yeah, it's no competition in the fact that the design and build of a M1 Garand is vastly superior to the M1 carbine.
Well, again, I don't think it's a comparison that can actually be made. I think it's an apples to oranges thing.
Yeah, that works. So did you have any other threads going that you were thinking about, or?
I'm still reading the whole can excessive inhalation of gunpowder cause nosebleeds things. That's still up there.
That's... Oh, the other big thing that's coming up is people wanting us to address... I don't know if you even knew that Tennessee Arms Co., those guys that make those polymer lowers, they're getting sued by ATI.
Color me surprised.
ATI's actually got some patents on a metal insert polymer lower. And they also are claiming that Tennessee Arms Co. is stealing their logo. So a triangle logo is apparently the same as a round logo.
Hang on.
But here's the big thing.
Trusty Google image search.
The way that this is being handled on social media is kind of silly. I don't know who the guy is that is doing their social media on Reddit as far as Tennessee Arms Co. goes, but the guy can run his mouth, and he's running his mouth about a pending lawsuit. which is really, really stupid to do.
Wait, he posted that on Reddit?
Yeah, he's been addressing it in posts, and he was kind of being.
Oh, you know what?
Kind of. He's being quite retarded.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
I can totally see a similarity between the ATI and Tennessee Arms Co. Logo.
There's definitely some similarity there, and as far as
the way the T and the
trademark,
A,
the way that trademark law works is that even if you're not wanting to sue them over money or anything like that, you still have to protect and you have to protect and
oh yeah, you have to aggressively protect your trademarks.
Otherwise, you start a precedent of allowing people to make similar copycat type claims.
Because if you put those two logos side by side, I can totally see where ATI is coming from on that. I'm not saying it's right, but I can totally see it.
And I agree. They do have to defend their. They might not have a great name, but they still have their own damn name. And with the guy, apparently he's the owner's brother. This the person that does the Reddit posts.
Okay.
And he's just on there running his damn mouth like a fucking idiot instead of waiting and talking to counsel. That's the first thing you do when you end up with this sort of situation. You don't just fucking start blasting on social media like a retard.
So, I think it was Darth was kind enough to put the link to the thread to the post in the Q&A app. Let's see. Now, which account is it? That's the
owner is, or the owner's brother is the Tennessee Arms Co. Guy, the original poster of that. So he.
I don't see that wasn't posted by 10 Arms Co.
That one wasn't, but there are a couple of them that are by him. It's the number 2 post on our firearms, and he's the one addressing it in a public fashion.
And he's doing this in our firearms, not in our guns, I guess. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, because I did talk to him not too long ago about how every fucking post that he made was a link to their website trying to sell stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, he did post something 13 hours ago in our guns, but it was removed by Automod.
Oh, that would explain it.
ATI versus Tennessee Arms, the facts on the new lawsuit.
But, let's see here. What did he end up saying that was... He was making tongue-in-cheek jokes about the person that's suing him and they're writing their good name. It's generally not something you want to do. But
yeah, this isn't going to end well.
Yeah.
Because now all of this, if it gets back to ATI's lawyers, is admissible.
Yes, but I don't think it's going to be anything super damaging. It's not something that you just want to go out there and start addressing ad hoc without having a plan to handle this sort of thing. And this brings back to companies with no oversight on their social media things. Now take Magpool. They do address Reddit with their social media department. And they actually have a lot of stuff that everything has to go through. And you just don't want some guy on the internet making posts, or else you end up with all those lawsuits that ended up on Sniper's Hide with, what was that company? Somebody will remind me, about shitty rifles.
Oh,
and everybody got nailed with libel suits.
yeah. Yeah, the terrible 50 BMGs, right?
I thought they were just regular centerfire rifle bolt action rifles. I can't remember them off the top of my head. So it's just, if you end up with a lawsuit on your hands, sit down, shut up, and don't play around with social media.
That's bad. That's not going to end well. And like I said, all those posts he's making, ATI's lawyers, they get a hold of it. It's absolutely admissible, right? I mean, you're in that profession. It's admissible, yeah.
Well,
I mean, I'm not saying
no
you're not a lawyer, but
no,
I mean,
no, but there's no reason that it wouldn't be, and this would be, if it was brought to me, it would be definitely something that I'd be preserving as far as evidence goes, even if it's not used. It's out in the public eye, and
it's on. I mean, it's on Reddit, the largest social media platform on the planet.
One of my one of the most common things that I do is I do website rips to ensure that we preserve content on websites, and that would definitely be one of the things that you grab. Though, like I said, it's not going to be a big thing. It's just they go off and talk about how they use 99designs.com, and I'm pretty sure 99designs.com, which is a social crowdsourcing type of design for a logo, I'm pretty sure they didn't put forth the effort for their $99 to actually go and research what their stuff looks like. If they didn't bother to look into the fact that ATI already made or already patented this type of lower.
Well, I mean, what kind of patent does it? I didn't read the whole thread. What kind of patent does it say they have on it? A design patent, a utility patent, what?
It's basically the fact that it looks like
so it's the design
something
patent.
something that they do.
Okay.
Something that they
if they have a valid patent
designed and came up with before Tennessee Arms Co. came up with it.
Which wouldn't surprise me. I mean, ATI isn't, their reputation may not be the greatest, but they do.
It doesn't matter who they are, because Apple sues everybody because they want to protect their IP.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, and if you look at the logo, like I said, if you look at the logo side by side, yes, it's a different shape, but
it looks pretty.
Look at the Tennessee Arms Co. logo, and you can totally see A, T, and I in that logo. You can see those three letters in that logo, regardless of the fact that theirs is in a circle, made to look like an AR bolt or something like that. Or a Mechanicus gear, whatever they're trying to go for. But you look at that logo, you can see the three letters A, T, and I in it. I don't know. I hate polymer lowers regardless. I think they're absurd.
My biggest problem with Tennessee Arms is that they said that they had somebody testing their lower, but I kind of want to get one, and then I want to actually run it through what I would put one of my steel and aluminum rifles through, and watch and laugh as it snaps in half, because I know damn well it's going to break, because I fall, I trip, because I'm scrambling over barriers or stuff like that. My fat ass will lose footing, and so my mass, remember we were discussing mass earlier, my mass will come down between that rifle and a rock, and bam, I bet you I'll break the fucking thing.
Absolutely. Polymer lowers are silly.
Yes.
I get that they're cheap. I totally get that.
And they're quick and easy to produce.
They are quick and easy to produce, but I think just overall they're bad. So, That's all there is to it. There's a guy here in town somewhere producing polymer lowers with brass bolsters in them, and I've got his card at the store. He was supposed to have sent me a rifle over a year ago to test out on the channel, and it never happened. I was hoping, huh?
Because it probably broke.
Perhaps, I don't know. I would have loved for him to, or for especially because it's a local Tulsa business, and you know how big I am with local business. I would have loved to have gotten a product from somebody locally that could completely change the way I look at polymer lowers, but it didn't happen. And every polymer lower I've ever had my hands on has been an unmitigated piece of shit that I wouldn't give away to my worst enemy. So
I believe we're starting to hit that 2-hour mark.
yeah, we're a little bit over it, actually.
So is there anything that you wanted to cover tonight that we haven't hit?
No, I think we've covered everything I wanted to kind of shoot the shit about. We talked about WoW. We threw in some 40K references. We talked about tits. We talked about penises. We talked about huffing lead.
Did we talk about cupping the balls?
We just did.
There we go.
Is there anything in IRC?
Just the fact that people are going, why are you so uncoordinated falling on shit? And I said, because I'm scrambling up a fucking 9-foot berm, trying to get up and over a drainage ditch. Anyways, fuck you. I'm fat.
I guess that brings us to the end of another episode of GTT Live.
Let's see here. Next week, here's the thing that I'd like to see is if we could alternate weeks that have guests. Go 1 week with guests, 1 week without. And if people have an idea for a guest, I wouldn't be opposed to listening to people's suggestions.
Admittedly, last week's show was amazing.
It was fantastic. We had set.
We
had a set direction.
I enjoyed the hell out of last week's show. Mike was a great guest. I can't wait to have him on again. But the problem with guests for shows like this is finding guests that haven't been on every podcast on the planet, because this community is still pretty small as far as the YouTube podcasting gun community. So finding a guest that hasn't made the rounds to every other show out there. That's why I was super happy that we were the first show that Mike was ever on. We popped his podcast cherry, and that was great. But I mean, the thing is to find the right guests, to get the right guests on.
Yeah, and like I said, if people have ideas of who they want to see, or ideas of, it doesn't even have to be a specific person, just the idea of types of people you want, because both you and I have plenty of people we know that we could go ahead and drag in here. It would be nice to bring on a couple of the other guns moderators, but apparently the rest of them are all too chicken shit to show their face.
James was on.
Yes, but James, if you're watching,
he's watching.
Very, very uninvolved. We're looking at
it was like literally a last minute thing.
I know.
But so I take the blame for that show. 100%. I take all the blame for the shittiness of episode 2. But
I'd love to get Zapp on here, and we could.
Zapp is a smart fucking kid, man.
We could totally go on about fucking 308s and why 5.56 is a shitty intermediate caliber, and we could talk about AKs, but he's too chicken shit to put his face on here. Or I told him that he could go ahead and use what was that software that we had originally talked about, the Face Link or Face on Steam, whatever that is.
Oh, the whatever. Yeah, I thought you bought a copy of that when it was on sale.
Oh no, I never did. But if he gets the face rig, and he can join us as a big fluffy bunny.
Well, I mean,
because that's definitely Zapp's personality.
The Hangout app has options to disguise yourself, so he could totally be wearing like a cat mask, and he could. I mean, he could. There's all kinds of stuff available if he doesn't want his whole face showing, but there's options there.
My whole thing is Zapp bitches all the time, and I would love to see Zapp put up or shut
up. I can tell you from, because I mean I don't know the kid personally, but I've spoken to him on the phone several times. I can tell you that, and I think everybody already knows this, but you know the internet Zapp isn't the same as the real world Zapp, which I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, because the internet Rich is the same as the real world Rich. What you see right now is the way I am. I don't change my personality depending on the venue, but the real world Zapp that I know is not the same as the Reddit Zapp. Zapp's a good guy.
Secrets.
Huh?
Don't give away his secrets.
I'm just saying I think he's a good guy.
It was like the first episode that we had, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, you have a baby face!" And I go, "That makes all my rants so much better." Because it's a 12-year-old yelling at you now.
It's like Francis without the lisp, you know?
Yes.
And I love that guy. I love his channel. He's just a funny guy. But I would love to have Zapp on. I think Zapp would bring a lot to the table. You know, if we can figure out a way to talk him into it. I mean, I don't know if he's afraid of getting doxxed or whatever. I don't know, but whatever the issue is, hopefully he'll come around. The thing is, I think one of the reasons that last week was so successful was we had somebody on who, and I was talking about this with another podcast guy. He's like, I never would have thought, excuse me, I never would have thought to have somebody like that on my show until I heard him on your show. And I'm like, dude, sometimes you just got to think outside the box. And it sounds cliche and it sounds silly, but that's I think going to be a key to finding good guests that have a lot to offer and a lot to add to a discussion, but maybe aren't involved in the firearms industry or community in ways that most people would think of. You know what I mean?
I agree. I think coming at things from a different angle is ideally what we want.
You know, Mike was a great guest, and he set a pretty high bar as far as I'm concerned, as far as guests go. It was a good show. Last week was an amazing show. I think it's the best one to date. So
let's not live in the past, and let's move on to the future and have a fuck ton of good shows. Well, I think that's a good segue off for tonight.
Yep. We're at 2 hours and excuse me, Jesus. We're at 2 hours.
Get you a cough button.
It's the weather change is killing me, and I didn't get a flu shot this year, so it's a little bit too late to get a flu shot now. So
I just got mine today.
Yeah, well, because it usually takes 6 weeks or so for it to make its way through your system, and then flu season around here usually begins right around the beginning of November. So at this point, it'd be too late. But if you have suggestions for possible guests or somebody, or something that you'd like to see on the show, you know, send me an email to rich@guntorturetest.com, or send me a message on Facebook, or send a tweet to OmniFox. What is it, at the OmniFox? Yeah.
Yep, at the OmniFox, or go ahead and hit me up on Reddit or on
Yeah.
IRC
A
on
private
FNet.
a PM on Reddit. I haven't been on IRC much lately, but you know, a PM on Reddit works. A tweet, a direct message on Twitter. Send me a Facebook message. Send me an email, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Oh, one last thing. Do we have an update on when this shit is going to actually be on iTunes?
I actually have this weekend off. I haven't had a day off, and so many people know that I also work in a gun shop, and I work a regular 9 to 5er, which really works out to being about 6 to 9er. But I actually have this weekend off, so I can build out the RSS feed and the website to host it.
But do we have to host it on a website to load it on iTunes?
To host the RSS and such, yes. Don't worry, I'll handle it.
Okay. All right. See you guys next week. And thank you for everybody that participated in the Gun It Thread of the Week. That's turning into a real thing that I thought it was going to crash and burn after the first 2 weeks, but people are actually getting involved in it, and that makes me feel happy inside. It warms me down to the cockles of my heart.
Subcockles.
To the subcockle area. Call your grandma. She misses you. See you, fuckers.